Most outbound cold calls, prospecting calls are so bad, there is no rest of the call. The beginning is so awful that it doesn't get anywhere. Now, this is one of the things that I'm really good at is cold outreach and making friends with people really fast, building relationships really fast. And I've been told this many times over the years, in person and through long distance kinds of business relationships too. Okay. Mostly because I'm in it for you as well as me. If I like you, I want to support what you're doing. Um, so this is a takeaway that I want you to have today. It isn't like the script on the middle of the call or the end of the call. Most outreach is so bad it never gets there. It's dead up here at the start. Okay, when you try and connect and you're blubbering. Look, I know what that's like. Before I paid for my own sales training, way back, many years ago now. I didn't know how to do cold outreach, but I was told to do some by my employer, and so I just blundered into it. And I can recall trying to sell gatekeepers, receptionists on anything, like just the idea of me being there kind of thing, on the phone with them, trying to introduce something. Like the wording was terrible, right? Like I'd get interrupted and be told, "We're not interested," click. And that it hurts. Right? I'm not gonna lie. And that's what is going on in cold outreach that really hammers newbies and makes most people give up. The thing is, if you can stick with cold outreach about 2 weeks, sometimes I've seen it take a little more, sometimes I've seen it take a little less, but about 2 weeks with a decent script, if you're armed with the right material, those gatekeepers that you're so afraid of will actually become your friends. Okay. I need to tell you something about gatekeepers. They're not interested in blocking you. I mean, okay, 1 in 10 maybe might, and that's a lot of their industry, right? If the dentist isn't drilling and filling, they ain't making money. So she or he has got to protect that person's time. Lawyer, same thing, right? And a lot of this stuff is cultural. It comes from the chief on down, right? And so if the head of the company is permitting this behavior of the gatekeeper treating you like crap, that tells you a lot about them, the founder, right? And what they will tolerate and what that organization's values are about. And my thing is like, I want to talk to people who want to talk to me. Okay. And if you're not open to it and you're negative and you're mean to people or whatever, like I'm out. Why would I want to work with you if that's the case, right? The working relationship is going to be worse. So, use that as a cue, okay? Expect it, but there is this flip that happens at about that 2 week mark when you've got a good script and you know what you're doing, you've got the wording right. Now, in my Sales on Fire program, I've been teaching that material for quite a long time. And I also put together this last year a short read Kindle book. Okay. Kindle books are fine and I like them, but usually they're too long, right? This one is, I don't know, maybe 20 pages, maybe 30, maybe, I don't know, somewhere in there. But the thing is, like, I think you'll actually read it. Okay. And it's the agency owner's shortcut to doing outbound calls. Okay. Now, is it just for agency owners? Of course not, right? Some of the language in there is adapted to it, but could you turn it to your own uses very easily? Yes. The process is what's important, right? You're doing a pattern interrupt, you're doing some stuff that shows them that you're respectful of their time, but you're not pandering to them, right? The power imbalance, and I'm not the only person to say this, is the real problem in these outbound relationships. Okay. And the more you try and let that actually exist and be there, that power imbalance, rather than go, there's no power imbalance here, you're lucky I called. Not in a dickish way, right? But in a, look, we're equals. I I had the fortunate chance to reach out to you. You had the fortunate chance to pick up the phone, right? And talk to me here. And we're getting to connect. That's a big deal. And that's kind of the energy behind these calls. So, if you've tried some outreach and it didn't go well and you think gatekeepers are all against you, it's probably because you didn't have that first section of the call down pat, right? And that's fine, because who teaches this stuff? Well, I do. Go get that Kindle book. It's a short read. You'll be on the road to making sales within the hour. And it gives you a proven process for starting the conversation. Okay. I'm not even going to worry about the rest of the conversation, the middle and the end, right now, because you aren't even getting the beginning of it. So what's the point in teaching you anything else, right? You want that, you go get Sales on Fire. Okay. But just getting in and getting started in an actual conversation with a decision maker is far beyond where most cold outreach gets to. Okay. And remember, most people give up in far less than 2 weeks attempted work in the field. It's a few days or one day, right? I know Bob Ross, the postcard guy, would talk about people going for lunch and never coming back. His call room, right? Like just seeing this stuff, he's paying them. It's not like it's commission or something, but it's rough when you don't know what you're doing. And so if you want to do cold outreach, or you've got people you want to do cold reach on your behalf, they need to get good at the beginning of the call, or else there is not going to be a rest of the call. Okay. Now hammer that point away. And it isn't the gatekeepers. You are sucking. And the gatekeepers are like, ooh, gross. Okay. Here's what the gatekeepers need: barely enough, maybe, of a phantom of a good enough reason to pass the call along. They need an excuse to say to their boss, well, they said blank. It sounded like you ought to talk to them. That's it. That's the tiny level of tipping point that you need to get for them to help you. Okay. And if you use the language that I give you in that short report, that short read, hey, you got it. Just start applying it. And it doesn't matter about how confident you sound or something like that. Sure, but Jason Kanigan is going to be super relaxed in that outreach, right? He's done it for 10 plus years. He knows, but you don't have to be. You can be a little nervous, but just say the words. And as time goes on, I mean, the first time, and I've shared this like for years, right? And had people go out on public forums and come back and say, wow, I used it. And when I can remember a comment back was, they used this as a physical walk-in tool, right? They walked into an office. They said 2 secretaries made it their job to go get me connected to the person who I wanted to meet using Jason's stuff. Okay. So use your brain. Spend the whatever it is, a tiny amount of money. I mean, if you can't afford $5 or $7 or $10 or whatever it is, this isn't a $50 or $3,000 thing like Sales on Fire or something like that. If you can't afford that, you don't have a business. You should go and work for somebody else. Okay. But if you do, this is the smartest money that you could spend. I mean, I can't believe it. It just starting the conversation off right. The power of doing that. Okay. It's yours to screw up after that. And I can certainly help you with a consistent sales call structure, right? And a process for that. But the power of just starting off well, getting into the room, getting into the conversation, right? So far beyond where most people get with cold outreach. Okay. You'll learn a lot. All right. I'm going to link to that below. If this is on YouTube, it'll be in the little description. If it's on Facebook, it'll be in the comment below. Okay. All right. I'll see you tomorrow.